Hey, Mark Salem here for Penguin. What I'd like you to do is draw a picture over here.
Okay.
Go off, don't let me see what you're drawing, and you can either, take the whole sheet of paper, it doesn't matter.
The back sheet. Okay.
No, on the front sheet. It's okay, I don't need those notes. But do it off to the side. You have no idea what she's drawing?
No.
Great. Okay. Now, while she's doing that, this is just called a pendulum.
Mm-hmm.
Are you in the middle of studying?
Not right now, no.
Okay, good. Well, this stops writer's block. It does all sorts of cool things. But if I were to tell you that it could also be controlled, well, I'll show you. Once she has her drawing, you're going to try to pick up the drawing. Almost done? Okay, exactitude is not necessary. Okay, tear it off and just stick it in your pocket. Roll it into a ball. Okay.
Stick in my pocket?
Yeah. Better yet. Better than that. First of all, stick it in one of your hands, but don't let him see. We're going to try even a better test. Okay, now the pendulum basically is something that moves around based on ideomotor response. It's not psychic, it's not supernatural. I don't buy into those things. It's the little motions that you make when you think of things. It's the way nonverbal communication works. It's the way that a Ouija board works. It's simply little motions. Here, I want to show you. You take
You want me to hold it?
Yeah, just hold it. Let this come over your finger. And I want you just to use your imagination, but don't do it on purpose. Imagine it going back and forth. Just imagine it going back and forth. Now you see it's going to happen by itself. Now imagine it going around and around. Imagine it going around and around. Okay? It's going to start going in a circular motion. It's going to start going in a circular motion. Kind of cool, huh? Okay. Put your drawing in one of your hands behind your back. Don't let him see it. All right. Now bring it up in front. All right. Now separate your hands. What I want you to do is you're going to place this over one of her hands. You're going to see how it moves. Then you're going to put it over the other hand and see how it moves. And you're going to judge based on its movement which hand to sing. All right? Now this isn't the easy stuff. Okay, and you should always start from a, get start position.
I guess it's in this one.
Show us. Okay, pretty cool. That's great. Okay, now keep holding it. Let me see if I can't get some impression of what it is. Okay, this involves a trip that you took. It's a trip. What was it, in Florida? Yeah, right? It was a trip to Florida. Yeah, okay. This is not to be confused with the trip you're taking, which is in Pennsylvania. Okay, but we'll deal, yeah, you are. It's a game. You're going to, ears, big ears. This is a Disney character. You went, think of the trip you took to Disney World. This is Mickey Mouse.
I don't know how you even did that. Oh my god.
So you found the right hand, you got the right letters, and then you ultimately got the right song.
Well, I didn't finish it, but that's incredible.
Think of the number 10 to 99. Just write it down and then again tear off the paper and stick it in your pocket. Roll it to a ball, place it in your pocket. Okay, now I have no idea what that is, just you know, correct? All right, so this will be pretty amazing, not only if I get the number, but if the pendulum also gets the number. Now, first I need you to control the pendulum for a moment. Let it pick up a little of the vibes. just hold it so that it goes over the finger like that.
Okay.
Right. Now, first thing you're going to do is feel it swing back and forth. Okay. Now remember, it's you doing this, but it's ideomotor response. And I'll just do the same way that a Ouija board works. It's okay. Your arm got tired. I understand. Okay. Let's imagine it going around and around. Some people have an easier time. Imagine it going around and around. There it goes. Okay. Good. Okay. Now understand, again, it's not my finger, it's your mind doing it. All right? So if I were to take my ring and put it in one of my hands. Now you don't know what hand it's in, but you're going to find it with the pendulum. Okay? First put the pendulum over one hand, then over the other. It's your free choice, and you're going to decide, no, directly over it, and leave it there for a while, and you're going to decide which one it's moving under more. I should say circular motion. Which one's circular motion? This one. And you would be right. So I think you've got some of the energies. Now again, I don't mean energy in a supernatural sense.
Right.
I mean, these aren't supernatural things. This is just part of how things work. All right. Let me try one other thing. I want you to think of the number that you chose. All right. Think of the number that you chose. Let's place this in the coffee cup, but don't let it touch the bottom. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. It's above 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, did it stop? 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, with the high number, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, did it stop? 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, did it stop? Good, okay, so it's 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, I think 77, 78, 79, 80, I think it stopped. 81, 82, I think it stopped. Okay, 82 times it hit the side.
No,
What was the number you were thinking of?
82.
82, holy cow. See? Hi, I'm Mark Salem, and for myself and for Penguin, I'd like to welcome you to a little bit of a mini workshop on the clipboard. Now, many of you may use a clipboard for pre-show work. I don't do much pre-show work, but we'll discuss using it in real time. We'll discuss using it for different media kind of appearances. And if you wish to use it, of course, for pre-show work. The clipboards I'm going to discuss today are easily made by you. They cost next to nothing, except in one exception you'll see. And they don't go bad on you, and they're easy to put together even if you fly into a city from somewhere else. And I use them primarily for television appearances or for radio appearances. It is an impression device. It is something to get something that somebody has drawn or written before. I also prefer a center tear, for example, or Acidus. But these are the clipboards basically sold by Staples. Now, this could be transparent for all intents and purposes. I happen to got one that is a smoky back, but it doesn't have to be. This could be transparent. I prefer the kind where the clip lies down flat. It's just easier to pack and take with you. This is the easiest one to make. First of all, it looks like it has a purpose. Usually on the first page, if I have an agenda for that day, the typed agenda is on here as well. I have notes here. I would stick on some stick-it notes. I have telephone numbers. I have some doodles. Something that looks like there's a functioning clipboard going on here. The secret of this clipboard is very straightforward, and I'll deal with the handling as well. Basically, you ask somebody to make some kind. Now, the rubber band was to hold items, and I do stick things in the pocket, plane tickets, and all sorts of things I stick on the rubber band. But in this case, for example, I could ask somebody to draw a symbol, right? And let's say they would draw a star. Okay, they could then take the star, take it off, put it in an envelope, and you'll get back to them later. All right, I now have a clean copy of that star. We'll talk about both taking a glimpse at it and what to do. This is what the pad continues to look like. If the person were to go to the next page, depending on where you put the rubber band, they still wouldn't see anything until they get to the end. All this is simple carbon paper, which gives me an impression of anything that I'd like. Now, I could do this in real time. I've done this on the news, for example. They wanted me to predict the Emmy Awards. I don't make predictions, but I said, let's see what you think. And I wrote down all the Emmy nominees. I said, circle the ones that you want to win. I had a duplicate of that sheet under the carbon paper, which meant basically that they circled it under here. They took their sheet. I was putting this back in my bag. During that time, I lifted this up. I looked at it. I saw what they chose. Remember, all they had to do was circle it, and it circled the same identical ones underneath, and then put this in my bag. I already knew now, and that was my Academy Award prediction. So I didn't predict what award would be won. I predicted what the news person thought would win. This is a workhorse. You don't have to worry about it. You put several sheets on it, you put the rubber bands around it, you put the other graphics on it, and suddenly this is a normal clipboard that no one's going to suspect because you don't treat it as circumspect. We could go a bit more advanced. Again, you buy these in quantity in 2 from Staples for like $4. But in this case, a technique that I discovered approximately 20 years ago. I discovered this when I had an old brother fax machine, and I took some paper off and I put it on something I wrote down, and then I picked it up and I had a copy of it from the thermal paper, which meant thermal paper was picking up this information. Later, some people called the brother of all clipboards, just like the mother of all book tests. But I never really pursued it much further. I created envelopes out of it. Now, basically, again, like the one with the carbon paper, I could draw famous Picasso stickman from his stickman period, slightly before his blue period. Somebody could draw a picture. They could take it off, put it aside. Next sheet again, you could have 2 sheets away. It is perfectly clear. There's a little bit of residue, but they really can't see anything. Beneath that, however, is the thermal paper. Now, what's amazing about thermal paper is if you take a look at this in another moment or two, we're going to see the picture develop as if this is a photograph. So now you already begin to see the body here. I don't know if the camera could pick up the head already. And you're going to have to make certain assumptions when you use thermal paper. It may be an incomplete image, but you're beginning to see the image get darker and darker if we were to get back to it, and you should have plenty of time. Once again, the nice thing about this thermal paper is that the image, they could look even at the back page, or it'll go through this. I would recommend using a Sharpie marker. That does give off the chemical that is needed in order to have this. And if you were to look closely, I don't know if you could see, I could already see the legs here, the arms, the round head. All that information is here for me. And it will slowly develop, like I say, like a photograph. Remember, you could do words, shapes, and it will come straight through. Now, I buy this stuff in rolls because it's made for printers. I will be right back. Let me show you what this looks like. This is a roll of thermal paper. I cut it into sheets and use it. You could also have people make a drawing, place it down on something, remove it. There's several clipboards today that the back slides off, whatever you wish to use. Again, you're going to have a copy of that already on the paper that you've just made. We go back here, we see that that drawing is just about developed. I see the legs, the arms, and the round head virtually completed. The mark, of course, is clear as day. So that's thermal paper. You could also get it in smaller rolls for little cash machines. It also has a number of other magical uses. A number of other people have recognized that and use them as such. Now, when you use a clipboard, no attention is paid to it. In other words, you just draw on this. Okay, now take the paper, turn away, be disinterested. Now, a fun clipboard. This is the only one that costs some money, but it's well worth the effort because of its size and how well it works. This clipboard, I could draw anything I'd like. I don't know what I'm drawing, so I'll draw a tree. Now, you may notice those are great for television because they're big, strong images. This one basically is good for pre-show work, and I'll give you some other hints in a moment. And then they take this. I use this on television a great deal. They take this off, and we're fine. We're done. Or are we? No, we're not. See, this comes up. And the drawing of my tree is right here. Let me explain what this is. This costs approximately $19. This is a piece of vinyl from a loose leaf. It is put on here with non-adhesive, with the non-permanent adhesive. This erases by pressing over here. This is a regular clip. I buy 100 of them from Staples. What is this item? This is the boogie board. You will find this now in airports, in train stations, in plane stations. Plane stations? Yeah, in plane stations, stations that have nothing. The boogie board approximately is $19. You want to get it in black. This is what it looks like. It will take any kind of writing on it of any kind. You press up here and it disappears. That's the boogie board. All I did, paint it black, along with, I should say, the assistance of Richard Mark, who certainly first brought this to public recognition. A piece of vinyl, again, cut from a loose leaf or binder, repositional glue. This is over here. And now, again, anything I write will show up on the board. All right? And the clip will hold that, a rubber band will hold that. Again, I try to make it look like I have an agenda on the first page like I do with the other clipboards. I've used this for, this and all clipboards for astounding kinds of effects that aren't the normal kind of duplications that you would think. For example, I have used it for somebody to write down the serial number of their bill because it will help them focus on it. Because I do bill divinations a great deal. In this case, they write it down. They don't even think twice why they're writing it down, but they write it down. They hold onto the paper. Later on, I ask for the bill, and I get the number straight off of the board. It doesn't hold a lot of logic why they had to write it down. Again, part of the gift of being a mentalist is convince them why they have to write down the number. You could have any word written down and then later on make as though it is forced from a newspaper or a book and simply point to it and say the word that you're thinking of is such and such, and they'll say yes because that's the word that they had written down beforehand. Drawings, piece of cake. Once again, once you see something, it's locked into your mind. People use it for pre-show work to get names, birth dates, anniversaries, other kinds of information. The nice thing about the boogie board, this is the original boogie board, as I say, you want the black one, is you could get the information, press the button, it will disappear, and you collect more information. If you have a reasonably good mnemonic system or memory system, you're going to store all of that information. I think if you carry these tools, these weapons, you're armed with a sufficient amount of material to pull off miracles. Those who don't like electronics, and I hardly consider this electronics, it's not as if it's beaming it to you, and it really is extremely thin, but if you want to go transparent, I'm telling you, retro carbon paper. Now, carbon paper is not easy to get, but again, you'll find it at Office Depot and Office Max. You'll be able to get a large envelope of pencil carbon, which is what you basically want. Pencil carbon, again, I cut it to size, has a very, very light knead. You don't need to put a great deal of pressure to get something that's drawn in it, and it's drawn in black. You could also use a clipboard if you want information before a show. For example, they are hiding your check. Well, you can't trust them to merely hide your check. You have to sign a contract, and they have to write down the date, the time, and where they're hiding your check. And then it's sealed in a notarized envelope, and they hold on to it. Well, the point is you now have a copy of it. You know where they hid your check. So you're doing it. There's a reason for the contract, they think. The real reason for the contract is that you have a copy. You know where they hid your check. So it's great for any kind of divination work. I think clipboards, after nail writers, are among the most useful tools for the mentalist. If you have any questions, get in touch with me. I'll work it through. Now, many of you may have used a pendulum. I'll talk about some of the basic elements in pendulum work. A little more advanced work, I'll demonstrate some things. And then finally, I will reveal to you one of my pendulum secrets, a secret that I've kept very close for over 20 years. And very few people know, and I think it'll change the way that you do pendulum work. The basics: pendulum is any heavy item at the end of any string, cord, thread, nylon, in this case chain. This one looks nice, but you could use anything. You could even, if push comes to shove, someone's necklace or a watch. Pendulum works on the basis of ideomotor response. Every thought you have has some sort of physical reaction. I firmly believe that. To me, it's the basis of nonverbal communication, and it's the basis of pendulum, Ouija board, table tipping. All of those work through. You have some sort of thought, and literally your idea turns it into a motor response. If anybody does any sort of key turning, same thing works. So basically you hold the pendulum so it goes over your first finger. You then place it over whatever you want to scry, and I'll talk about that in a moment. And the pendulum is going to begin to move in certain directions. Please understand, it's not spirits, it's not ghosts. Well, I don't think so. But it is your own subconscious. So, for example, a typical pendulum wheel, if you're going to work with pendulums at all, might look something like this. With two axes, a yes axis and a no, and also maybe a maybe. Taking the pendulum, you could put it above it and ask yourself some questions. I lost my keys. Did I leave them inside? And then wait for the response. See if it goes back and forth for yes, as it's doing here, or if it's going here for no, or it's going around and around for maybe. Now, it will only answer yes and no questions. This is not a supernatural device. It's merely getting things that are in your subconscious. If you misplaced your keys, but you really know where they are subconsciously, it will help you find them. If your keys were stolen, forget about it. This is not useful. There was a woman who lost her necklace. She asked me, could I find it? I said, I couldn't, but you could. I taught her this technique. She used a pendulum, and she said, is it inside? I said, no. Is it outside? It said, yes. Finally, she narrowed it down by asking yes or no questions, narrowing down the questions till finally she determined that it was by a brick wall, and it was on top of the brick wall. She was planting roses. She'd taken it off her jewelry and placed it on that brick wall. And she found it because subconsciously she knew where it was to begin with. That's the reality of the pendulum as I believe it. But there are some other strange, tricky things you could do. For example, as a professor, I'm often asked, is there a way to stop writer's block? Yes, there is. And what I find oftentimes is simply giving somebody a book and having the pendulum go around and slowly move it down until it touches one word. And whatever that word is, they begin their next sentence with that word. There's no equivocating here. They have to begin with that next word. And it's just a mind method to break through writer's block. All right, let me demonstrate to you some effects, techniques, and nothing will be held back. Jenna, please. Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Okay, good. We haven't really discussed this at all, what we're going to be doing. And have you ever worked with a pendulum before?
Not directly. I know what they are, though.
Okay, yeah, they're weight at the end of something. Mm-hmm. Okay, you kind of read your own subconscious. Let's give it a try with you. What I want you to do, you're going to hold it so that your thumb is holding it against your finger and let it hang downward. Great. All right, let it be comfortable. All right, and a little more forward this way. That's all. Great. Okay, so it's hanging free is basically what we want. Just want to make sure that the camera could see this because I'm not quite sure of shadows and that sort of thing. Now, in a moment, you're going to feel the pendulum begin to swing. Now, you're not going to consciously do this. It's going to happen subconsciously, but every thought you have, again, translates into a mode response. So I want you to begin to imagine it going back and forth. Imagine it. Don't fight it. It's going to go back and forth, back and forth. There it goes. And it's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger with that swinging. Okay, and you almost feel as if it's pulling that. Now, I want you to imagine it going round and round. And slowly, it's going to begin to go round and round and round and round and round. Right? That is basic pendulum work. That is her making all the motions. But again, she could use it with this sort of thing to find lost objects. Or we could use it in other strange kind of ways because we're not here to do readings or anything like that. We're here to do entertainment. So let's entertain you. Vodka? No. You could rest your hand for a moment. I took from my grandkids their Uno cards. And what I want you to do, you ever play Uno? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I lose against the kids all the time. All right, just choose any one of the Uno cards. It doesn't matter which one. Okay, take it. All right, and I'm assuming that it's a number because that's what Uno cards really are. They're numbers, correct? Mm-hmm. All right. I'm going to take the pendulum now. Just focus on your number, and I'm going to try to receive that thought. Okay, now it rang. Not quite sure about the fourth one. It seems 3 or 4 times. We'll do it one more time. Three times. What card do you have? The 3. All right. Now what's nice about this is it turns something that is hard to see for many people into something that rings through an entire theater. Now you could do it with numbers, you could do it with names, you could do it with objects. The point is that this is really accentuating the sound incredibly, and it's kind of spooky as well. If you're going to do this, I lean towards forcing a lower number, but you certainly could go 10, 15, depends how bored you want your audience to get. All right, so that was great. Now, I should also make it clear, people sometimes think these things are magnetic. Magnets have nothing to do with anything. It may point to true north like a compass, but neither nickels nor pendulums are magnetic. But I'm going to take this coin. Now, oftentimes when I do this in a stage performance, I'll have somebody place it in one of my hands. Since all the people have left, I'm going to place this in one of my hands, but I want you to shut your eyes. Okay, I'm going to turn my back so that the camera could see which hand I'm placing it in. It's now in that hand. Okay, Jenna, now pick up the pendulum again. Place it the way that I showed you before. Fine, lift it up. All right, now the nickel is in one of my hands. You're going to find the nickel through your subconscious. Now start it from a standing still position, run down the chain. All right, so you're going to put it over one hand, see what happens, then you're going to put it over the other hand and see what happens. Okay. All right, and you're going to make some determinations for us. And you can switch hands whenever you want, just make sure it's at a standstill position when it's over the other hand. Any change?
That one seemed to do more movement.
It seems to be going in a circle. Mm-hmm. Try this one, because again, what we're looking for is the straight line, not the circle. Okay. I should have made that clear before. What do you think?
That's more of a straight line than the other one.
This
Circle,
is.
straight line.
Okay, and you'd be right.
Yes.
Let's try it again.
Okay.
Okay, don't use any logical thought with this.
Okay.
Don't think where I would put it.
Okay. Looks like a circle.
Okay, put it over the other one.
It's definitely a straight line.
And you'd be right again.
Yes. I'm so
Pretty
good
amazing.
at this.
All right. We could do this all night and you'd keep getting it right. Now you may say, how's that done?
How's that done?
I knew you'd say that. That's why I'm a mentalist. Well, this is the technique. The technique is I am moving my hand. So when you are holding the pendulum, I'm moving one hand in a circle, one hand straight, back and forth. Now this is very much the illusion that occurs when you're sitting in a train or a subway and the next train is leaving. You think you're moving. Well, to her, it looks like the one that I'm moving straight back and forth, that the pendulum is moving. It's not, my hand is moving. Then she moves to catch up with the hand. I stop my hand from moving, and the pendulum is still moving. So it's all done through the perceptual, looking straight down, seeing no other angles, seeing the hand moving, making the assumption that the pendulum is moving. It's amazing force, and you could use it to force all sorts of things. Which coin hand has the ring, which one has the penny, which one has the necklace, which one has another pendulum. You could use it, in fact, to change bills. Okay, you have dollar bill, you have the same one in different bills in different hands. You could know the serial number of one that you've borrowed, and suddenly you know what the serial number of that one is, the one that it's swinging over. You only borrow one bill, the other you know the serial number of. But the audience isn't aware of that. You could use the pendulum to do all sorts of choices and decisions that a mentalist would give their necklace for. So the pendulum is really limited by your imagination. You could make your wheel days of the week, months, years. You could tell someone what their birthday is or what their horoscope sign is, depending on what your needs are. One thing I've had a great deal of fun with is having my hands behind my back and getting a bill from somebody, a $1 bill. And while my hands are behind my back, I reach into my belt and switch it with another $1 bill, and then bring it out. And then they find the $1 bill, and then I tell them the serial number. How? Well, I've switched it. I've switched it while it's behind my back. There are a multitude of sins that can be done while your hands are behind your back. You could switch things in and out, then bring them up front, and they'll find the one that you want through the hand movements. It becomes a tool that is quite useful, everything from close-up all the way to stage work. I hope you've enjoyed this look into pendulum power, and please keep the secret.